as always, please hit like. Please hit subscribe. Today, we're going to be talking about something that I'm incredibly excited for, the return of the bear, which is probably my most favorite show of the last 10 years at least. And I really want to talk about it. I'm really looking forward to it because, amongst other things, um, I think that that has a lot of application and is very, very applicable to Freemasonry. So I want to discuss it. But first, need to wait to see who wants to join. So please take a moment, hit like, hit subscribe. Any thoughts you have in Freemasonry, let me know. The first hour, I always focus on just answering questions. The first 60 minutes, I always just focus on answering questions from people. So let's see what questions you guys have got. All right, here we are. We're good. Any thoughts you have, positive, negative, or neutral? I'd love to hear them. Thank you all so much for being here, as always. And I've written about the bear, and I've written about the bear. I've written about how much I like that show and why I think it applies to Freemasonry on my Medium account. So first of all, please make sure you follow me on Medium. I'd be very much obliged. Second, we're just going to wait to see who joins. For the first bit, just hit like, just hit subscribe, and let me know any thoughts you have on Freemasonry. Thank you to everybody who tuned in yesterday for my... oh man, I lost the thing again. For my... sorry about that. For my... tuning in yesterday for my live stream watch along of the FIFA World Cup, which was a blast. I loved it. So thank you all for being here. Ty Holmes, I want to solve God better by saying single forever. I don't know what that means, but sounds good to me. I mean, are we ever going to be able to solve God? I don't even know what that means exactly, to solve God, but I don't know if God is a solvable problem. Please hit like, please hit subscribe, jump in the chat and say hello. Well, if you want hope everybody's okay. I don't know what that means either. If you want the gift of singleness, just be single. Which I do think solitude can at times be a gift. But I don't think you need to, look to God for that. Just be single. Hello, A. Kishma. Thank you for being here. Hello, Secret Account Miho. Please hit like and subscribe as well. Ridge Racer, I think it's up to everybody to decide that for themselves. Look, this is the worst, by far and away, the worst stream to be getting relationship advice from. So do not rely on me for that. But please hit like, please hit subscribe. Any thoughts you have on Freemasonry, let me know. And if you plan to watch The Bear, let me know as well. That might be a good discussion question to have. They do, Sugarcane. You're not wrong about that. Born and raised in Winnipeg, currently live in Windsor, Ontario. I do not. Now, that's my personal opinion. I do not support Trump, though. This for that, I do not know what that means, Peric, but okay. As always, please take a moment, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Let me know if you have any thoughts on Freemasonry. And we're going to talk about the bear very soon. We got one no vote, so there you go. Hopefully we'll get some more yeses. Secret account. That's cool. I mean, again, we have people on here who do. I definitely do not. And if you get the chance, also, please don't forget, follow me on Medium if you can. I would be much, much obliged. Medium is where I produce my written content about Freemasonry, and it's gone very well. So I know I look like a thumb Binder. If you're going to make fun of me, at the very least, what you could do is you could hit the like button and the subscribe button while making fun of how I look. We're getting closer and closer to 5,000, 4,300, which is incredible to see. We're working our way up. And we've had a lot of success lately, a lot of growth in the channel. For that, I'm also truly grateful. So thank you for that as well. For the time being, we just wait to see who jumps on and who says hello. I mean, I'm always thinking sugarcane about any different like sites I can use to get kind of my message and my goal of turning my passion into professionalism, or sorry, turn my passion into profession can be used, whether it be, whatever the site may be. But I think I want to focus on YouTube. It's the one where I'm doing the most on it. It's when we're seeing the most growth. So that's the one I want to do the most, and that's the one where I think I'm going to have the best success. Jim Bob, I mean, it's still alive without question. You need to define alive and well. That gets way more complicated. Define well, right? Like Freemasonry is probably at approximately 850,000 people membership in the United States, give or take. That is, down from the highest of over 4 million in 1959. Whether or not like it's alive and well in the sense that there are a lot of Freemasons dedicating themselves to making Freemasonry a success, to growing it, to holding events, celebrations, and they've been doing an incredible job. But unfortunately, it is also the case that there is a lot of Masonic lodges that are really struggling right now. One of the reasons I started this channel is to maybe try to provide them with some support and information how they can help. Cast, what do you consider as Freemasonry? Because me and my brother disagree on what it actually is. I mean, what Freemasonry actually is at its core is a civic group or a club that's been around for about 300 years that evolved from stone Masonic guilds of the Middle Ages. Well, please don't unsubscribe, but if you do, it's free. It's free to subscribe and unsubscribe. 34th degree, this whole obsession with degrees. 90 for most regular Freemasonry, certainly in North America, 33rd degree is the largest, if you want to use that term, degree you can have. It's not the highest degree. The highest degree is a third degree, but kind of the biggest number is 33rd. There is Memphis Mizraim in Europe and stuff, which goes up to 99 degrees, I think, but that's really irrelevant for most membership. I mean, if somebody told me they're a 34th degree, that's almost certainly bullshit, because I've never heard of it outside of Memphis Mizraim, and that is not that's not really recognized in North America. Yeah, Cast, you almost certainly have been victim of a scam. This 34th degree third level Mason, if that is what he said to you and you believe him, then you're being scammed. Cass now has the joke, or Katz has the joke. What do you consider to be the reason for your decline in membership over the years? I don't have a good answer for that because there's so many different reasons. Like, that was discussed in, not specific to Freemasonry, but specific to civic engagement in general. A book called Bowling Alone by Robert Putman. And he looked at and explored the decline in membership amongst civic groups, Freemasons, Oddfellows, and everything else in between. There's no single answer. Part of it has to do with the fact that there is way more stuff to do at home, way more things keeping people at home, way more things creating an illusion of membership, an illusion of connectivity when you don't have it, right? What does it mean to have a friend after Facebook? What does it mean to have a brother after Facebook? Economic uncertainty, economic decline also contributes to it. And also just there's a lack of relevance that Freemasonry has in people's day-to-day lives, unfortunately. And that is a lot of faults in a lot of different ways, but part of it is a fault of Freemasonry itself. I'm pretty free. I like to think. The car guy, if you just got here, then you should hit like and subscribe. Freemasonry is a civic institution or a civic group, a club that has existed for 300 years. Um, what's my IQ? I have no idea, but I'm sure it's very low. I am very good at talking, though, and I'm grateful to be able to talk. Like I'm good at communicating, I think. I'm good at being eloquent, and that's something I'm grateful to have that skill. Welcome from the Philippines, La Friolo. Please subscribe and like from the Philippines. Yeah, Dylan, it's fairly common. It doesn't happen all the time. Not every Mason will have a sticker on their car, but many do. So yeah, it's a really cool thing. Again, you also need to keep in mind though, Dylan, just because someone has a sticker on their car, it doesn't automatically mean that they're a Freemason. It could mean that they just like the design or want to pretend to be a Freemason or got the car from somebody else and just kept the sticker on there. Um, well, then don't say it again, Mongol. You can get bumper stickers, you can get pins, you can get coins, you can get all sorts of stuff. Like I've showed in the past my collection of pins and coins, and I've been grateful for all the travel I've done and all the cool stuff I've got as part of that travel. I think most Masonic lodges should be, if they're not already, investing in something, right? Investing in some type of swag or gifts they can give out because you can get some really cool stuff. Um, maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Who knows? I'm not going to say. If you want to find out, you got to join Freemasonry, and then you'll learn. Well, even if you're one yourself, the way to know for sure is to ask for a dues card. That's the smartest and safest way to know for sure is just ask for a dues card because all the secrets are online at this point, right? Whether you want to be a Freemason, like this idea of oh, he knows the secrets, the private information. You can find all that stuff online. Some of it's accurate, some of it is accurate, some of it's not accurate. But either way, it's one of the things where, relatively speaking, you will like that's what you need to focus on because even if they do know the secrets and they were a Freemason, they might not be currently a Freemason. They might not be presently a Freemason, right? They may have been suspended for all sorts of reasons. So the best and safest way to confirm that someone is a Freemason ultimately is to request, a current dues card. Or if they don't have a dues card, like in England, they perhaps aren't using dues cards anymore, talk to the Grand Lodge of England and they should have a record of them. No, Churs, you have a dues card, not a Jewish card. Freemasonry has men of all different faiths, backgrounds, and beliefs. I remember you from last night. Ton, welcome back. I don't wear a Masonic ring. I don't wear a Masonic ring because I'm in a wheelchair. And the ring would always, it would like rub against my wheelchair. It would make like a clinking sound. And also, it would scratch the ring. So I keep my ring, at a safe location. I have it insured and all the rest of it. But no, but some Masons wear a ring. Some Masons don't. Douglas Marks, I appreciate that. It's not always easy being on it's not always easy being on YouTube. I want to say I appreciate you, Cameron, so thank you for that. Jeremy, welcome back. Soccer, football, I know you're into rugby, so nothing but respect to you. Again, being a rugby player, you're a tough son of a gun. Hello, Virald. Jumbo, no one is scum to me and no one is scum to Freemasons, but nonetheless, welcome. Thank you for being here. Please hit like, please hit subscribe. Um, I got hair. What are you talking about? Look at all this hair. I hope that everybody watching this is doing well. 26 votes. We've been watching season 5 of The Bear. About 75% no, 25% yes. I'm going to be watching it. I'm going to be talking about how it applies to Freemasonry. I'm actually going to be sharing the stream, or sharing where and how I think The Bear applies to Freemasonry after the second 60 minutes. Yes, I saw that, Dad. And there's a lot of Freemasonry in Venezuela. A lot of Masons are in Venezuela. So obviously, we're thinking about everybody and anybody. But if you do know of any Masonic relief efforts, Masonic support efforts for Venezuela, please let me know. During natural disasters, very often Masonic lodges are one of the first groups to step in and try to assist. In Los Angeles, during the wildfires, Masonic lodges were acting as collection points for goods and services and items people might need, as well as donation centers, as well as emergency shelters for both first responders and people displaced from their homes. No, Dylan, I hope not, because I've got a ton of tacky. I've got a ton of Masonic tattoos. So if it's tacky, then I guess I'm a tacky guy. Do you stream because it is a task given by your master? So I am the master, Mary Yang. I'm the master of Border Cities Lodge number 554. I stream because I want to turn my passion for Freemasonry into a profession. Help me out with that by hitting like, subscribe, commenting, sharing, doing super chats, all that good stuff. Yes, my dad is here. I hope he's doing well. Tom, you have to get used to being rude on YouTube. It's the nature of being on RudeTube. It's the nature of being on RudeTube/YouTube. People are going to be rude. People are going to be mean. It usually is a sign they have very sad lives, and because they have very sad lives, ultimately they feel the need to insult and be rude to other people. Do you believe in Jesus? Phone account. So my supreme being, I've said it before, is the rational nature of the universe as expressed through science and expressed through geometry. So I would not call myself a Christian, although I would say the majority of Freemasons I've met are Christian. And every now and then I make it to church. I grew up Anglican, I suppose. Yes, the Fat Muppet. I love scary movies. So as far as I'm concerned, any movie night in a lodge, but especially a scary movie night, I support 100% and I think would be awesome. Individual Masons may. You need to define what the occult is, right? Like, if by occult you mean like witchcraft and things of that nature, I'm sure there are some, but it's not a Masonic thing to do. It would just be in their own personal life. I've known a few Wiccan Freemasons, Wiccan Freemasons, who, I guess maybe by definition they're involved in the occult. I'm not really sure. Well, I mean, Christians can believe that. That is their faith. What I always say is, within Freemasonry, I cannot make any promises of salvation nor threats of damnation, meaning I have zero idea where you will end up in the afterlife. If you want to know about that, talk to your priest, talk to your rabbi. Hello, Con 76858. Please hit like and subscribe. Theodore Roosevelt is a Freemason, or was a Freemason. Famously, he became a Freemason while he was the vice president, and at least he was raised while he was the vice president. And his raising ceremony was so well attended, they actually had to carry him over a bunch of other people to get him to the lodge room so he could take part in his degree. I saw some of Sean Stone's stuff. It was a bunch of bullshit, but I didn't see all of it, in fairness. The Fat Muppet, I mean, it has to be a decision you make in your heart. My best advice to you is speak to different religious leaders and try to decide from there. Oh, Dinah, I'm the highest ranking Freemason you can be. I am a third degree Master Mason. You cannot get higher than that. So, very sorry to disabuse you of this high level baloney notion. It goes well, Bulba. I'm going to be at Coffee Club tomorrow if you want to come by. 9 a.m. is my plan. I'll get you your coin. If you want to stop by, it'd be great to see you. Kool-Aid. 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 Freemasonry is not political. That's a political statement. How you feel about Zionism and the American influence or the Zionist influence in America, or the American influence on Zionism for that matter, is up to each individual to decide. Freemasons, I mean, some people may consider Freemasonry a cult, but it's not. So if they consider it that way, they're wrong. Nice. Where's the fishing trip going to be? Up north here. Fishing is always fun. "34 votes on the bear. More 75% saying no, basically 26% saying yes. Flack, it's a club, right? It's a group. It's a civic institution and organization, right? That's all it is. Not every club is a cult. In fact, I would say the majority of clubs are not cults. There are some that may be a cult, and those are groups and organizations that attempt to isolate individual members from friends, family, employment, none of which Freemasonry does. No, we're not scaring anybody. To join Freemasonry, you must join of your own free will and accord. If you're trying to scare somebody into joining, then you're not being a very good Freemason, right? And they wouldn't be joining of their own free will and accord. So I know nothing about Bohemian Grove. I know nothing about it. It has nothing to do with Freemasonry. That's what I know. I'll take looking like Homer Simpson. There are worse things to look like than that. Please hit like and subscribe, by the way, and let me know how you're doing. We're going to just keep hanging out. First 60 minutes, as you know, I just talk to people about whatever, no specific context, whatever questions you guys want to bring up. Second 60 minutes today, we're going to talk about unreasonable Freemasonry, which is articles I wrote concerning what Freemasonry, or what we as Freemasons can learn from the bear, and particularly this idea of unreasonable hospitality. Well, Dina, I guess you can't. Disroid. Disdroid. All right. So you have to join the lodge of your own free will and accord. That is true. That is the most important thing. Clearly, there's not an oath of silence because here I am talking about it. Bulba Butt Cards makes the best point. It's only a secret, or it's just a secret because you've chosen not to join. If there's an oath of silence, would I be able to talk as much as I am? See, it's funny, Ayush. I have no idea because I don't know, I don't watch soccer enough to have any idea if they're playing poorly or not. Like, it looked like a really good game to me, and it seemed like they were playing really well, but I had no clue. I enjoyed the game, though. I got a big forehead, Kevin. So, Bo Childress, when did the Masons splinter off from the Templars? The Masons and the Templars were never the same organization. The Templars existed from about, I used to know the dates, 1150 roughly to 1308. Freemasonry at the earliest started in 1634. You can maybe say 1601. Um, so there's about a 300 to 400 year gap between the two organizations. When Freemasonry began to develop and form, many Masons, one in particular was a Mason from France, looked back and recognized and saw that there was a value in the symbolism, imagery, ideals, beliefs of the Templars, and as a consequence of that, adopted much of that into Freemasonry. And over time, that developed into the York Rite and the Knights Templars and things like that. Um, well, Mirth is King, I think you're referring to the Jesters, which I don't even know if the Jesters are in Ontario. It's an offshoot of the Shrine. It's not really part of your typical Masonic experience, that's for sure. Unless you can become a Shrine. Um, well, Dylan, I mean, the problem is it's very hard. First of all, the term, to my knowledge, Freemason is not trademarked. So anybody can use that term, to my knowledge. Now, the symbol, the square and compass, is in most situations, in most jurisdictions, that is trademarked. But first of all, it's very hard to enforce that because it takes time and money to sue somebody, and you got to wait for it, which is a pain in the butt. On top of it, like, you got to wait for the court date, etc., etc. On top of it, all you need to do is change a few things in that design, and suddenly you're out of the trademark. Plus, I mean, it's complicated because who are you actually suing, right? Like, if I decide I want to start my own Masonic group that's clandestine, and I go to the store and I purchase a bunch of rings that have the square and compass logo on them, and I use them, I mean, can I be sued for that? Or is it the manufacturer of the rings who gets sued? Or is it the person who sold them? Like, legal action in regard to any type of organization is really, really tough when it comes to this idea of, what is versus not legitimate. Ultimately, I think the best thing we can do in Freemasonry is simply, focus on getting the right and correct information out there, warning people about scams, and you go from there. There's really not much else you can do. I like Ed Sheeran a lot. There are many clandestine Masonic lodges that are not safe. You need to be really careful. The best way to check if a lodge is legitimate or clandestine, the very first thing you do, ultimately, is you need to, you need to ask the lodge to which Grand Lodge they are associated with, or which Grand Lodge they are chartered under, and then double check with that Grand Lodge. So if I'm going to go to see, like, Lodge number 6, in Winnipeg, I ask them which lodge they're chartered under, and they say the Grand Lodge of Manitoba. I can contact the Grand Lodge of Manitoba and confirm it. That's kind of the way you do it. So there are dues that you need to pay every year. I'm a member of 5 Masonic lodges. The cheapest is $25 a year. The most expensive is $250 a year. There's also usually a one-time initiation fee. But keep in mind, and it's really important to remember, that when it comes to this idea of payment and money and dues, it's all ultimately, like, it should be the last step before you join. So if anybody contacts you and says, you can be a Freemason, just pay us $500 and you're all set, they're scamming you. Way before they start, asking for a check or asking for money, they're first going to get to know you, learn more about you, figure out if you're the right fit for the lodge. You get a chance to figure out if Freemasonry is right for you, and you just kind of go from there, right? But ultimately, it's up to you to take the first steps and approach them. And if you think you can kind of pay your way into Freemasonry, you are going to be very disappointed. That's not how it works. Yeah, I mean, and again, I don't like to give, because it could be much more expensive also than people think. Like, I'm sure I've heard of lodges charging as much as $600 per year for membership. It really depends on the lodge and a lot of different factors. Ultimately, though, that is a question you should be asking very early in the process. How much are the yearly dues? I have been taught to be cautious. not just within Freemasonry, but within life. No, you will not get kicked out if you're late with your payment for a month. Most Masonic lodges are going to find ways to work with you. Like many Masonic lodges offer forgiveness of dues if you have financial difficulty, or they offer payment plans or benevolence, whatever it might be. Um, that is true as well, Bulba. It is important to guard the West Gate. Some Freemasons are Christians, some Freemasons are Jewish, some Freemasons are Muslim, some Freemasons are Hindu, Sikh. Freemasonry is not a religion, and we have many different faiths represented in the lodge. So it's not right now, to its credit, but it does concern me that if the cost of living keeps going up, and if the K-shaped economy continues, it may eventually become a rich man's club. In that, it'll become a luxury item that fewer and fewer people are able to afford because they have to spend their money on gas or whatever else it is, and it becomes for rich people. I don't necessarily know what the best solution is, but that is a concern. Well, every lodge will have its own customs. Like you have within a jurisdiction a standardized opening and a standardized closing. That's ritual, standardized, initiations and stuff like that. And that is for every single Masonic lodge has that, right? Where it's the same thing. So I can go anywhere in Ontario and recognize the opening and the closing and the ritual. However, every Masonic lodge will also have its own unique customs. They may have Hawaiian shirt nights or visitations they do, or who knows what, right? That's one of the really cool things about visitation, is seeing how different lodges do things. That's something I really love and really enjoy, and I'm grateful for the opportunities to see those things. And every lodge will have its own logo as well. Yes, they'll have a square and compass, and they may have jurisdictional branding, like they'll have Ontario Mason branding, but like my lodge seal is different than any other lodge seal, right? That's a really cool thing. Again, the beautiful thing about Freemasonry, genuinely, is ultimately what it is it is individual. It is a common base and a common understanding, but with individual interpretations and individual appeal. So, Fat Muppet, if we are in labor, then no. If we're part of and engaged in an official meeting, the answer is no. If it's an refreshment hour or a special event, then very often yes. But during the meeting itself, when we are at work, the answer is no. But also, that's true for almost every group. Colby, I mean, you say that, but you're here on stream, so what purpose can you have in life? Having said that, I appreciate the prayers. I hope you'll also hit like and subscribe while praying for me. But I think all of us have to find our purpose somehow, right? Triggered, says Colby. Maybe just accurate. Maybe just accurate and not triggered. I do find very often when you point out something that's true, usually a very common response amongst a certain crew of people is to just claim you've been triggered, as opposed to you're just adequately or accurately, seeing somebody for what they are. Luke, thumbs up. Thank you for being here. Interestingly enough, 78% will not be watching season 5 of The Bear, 22% will be. Well, I would recommend checking it out. It's going into its 5th season today. I think it's released tonight. Seasons 1 through 4 were incredible. So season 5 should be also really, really good. The Fat Muffet, I don't know. You should talk to a doctor. That's awesome, Dylan. I hope you go to it. Even if you want to go to it, just for the free dinner, take advantage of it. Why not, It's, you get a free dinner out of it, and maybe you'll meet some Masons. I'm grateful that you're here. You get to meet me. However, obviously, I'm just one of many. And they may have, at your local lodge, some completely different ideas and some completely different, thoughts and beliefs on Freemasonry and what it means to be a Freemason. So that's a really cool thing to keep in mind, right? And that's what you want. You want to get different perspectives. No, you do not need to be Libra college educated to join. Um, we have Masons of all different professions, all different degrees, all different, when I say degrees, I mean like all different educational degrees, all different professions. We have everything from, you know, uh, doctors and lawyers to plumbers to janitors. You can have the janitor be the worshipful master of the lodge and telling the lawyer what to do, right? It's ultimately, and the beautiful thing about Freemasonry, as I've talked about before, is ultimately it judges the internal and not external qualifications of man. It's not about the degree you have or the job you have. It's about, are you a good person and honorable, which is, in my opinion, the best thing about it. I mean, if you want to try using Freemasonry to pick up women, I wish you the best of luck. I don't think you're going to be much successful with it. But hey, maybe you'll be the exception to the rule. There's disabilities there are Masons on disabilities as well. That's true. Billy Bob Heartthrob. Please hit like and subscribe. I like that name. It's about somebody's personality. It's about whether somebody's kind, good, charitable, and just will be a good fit for the lodge. This idea of personality, Libra, I honestly think, I've talked about this before, that the type of personality that we in Freemasonry should so be looking for is actually curiosity. In my opinion, the more curious a person is, the more likely that they will find and be successful in Freemasonry and have positive Masonic performance. I find a curious and open-minded personality is the best. So that's always been my suggestion. Because one of the big debates we always have is, how do you know if somebody is going to be, how do you know if somebody's going to be a good Freemason or not? And ultimately, I've said this before, it's, there's no way to know for sure. But I do believe truly that one way you can kind of try to push things over to be more in your favor is to look for people who are curious and open-minded. I wrote about this on Medium. So James Maynard, I do not know what that means. I do not know what it means to reincarnate as James. Please like and subscribe. I mean, Rutro, we have some, not every Masonic Lodge has a library. But I think every lodge should. Honestly, though, if you wanted to ever take a look in a Masonic library, even if you're not a Freemason, there's nothing wrong with you contacting a Masonic lodge and asking if you can check out their books and learn more about them. They may allow you. Some Masonic lodges do, borrow out their books to the public. It depends on the lodge and if they have a library and things like that. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I was watching, I'm a big fan of Steve Jobs. And I was watching an interview he did. And he was talking about one of the biggest things you find is a lot of people find themselves held back because they are afraid to ask people for things, right? And I think for a lot of people, they want to be a Freemason, but they are held back because they think they need to be asked to join, or they think they're waiting for an invite. Just ask. You'd be amazed how often people want to help you, if you're willing to ask, and that includes Freemasons. Well, you can say, look, I mean, it depends on what books you're talking about. Now, they're record books and they're minute books. That's going to likely be a no. But they may have a section they may have Mackey's Encyclopedia. They may have copies of all sorts of different books about Freemasonry. Freemasonry for Dummies, who knows what else, right? Nashville has a huge selection of books all about Freemasonry. Um, and yeah, you can just call them up and say, look, I'd like to research more about Freemasonry. Do you have a library that has any Masonic books in it? Can I take a look at them? They might tell you no. I don't want to imply to you that they're automatically going to say yes. It depends on the type of lodge it is and do they have a library at all. But it never hurts to ask. The worst they can say is no, right? So just check it out. I've been doing well, Cody Watkins. So I think you're talking about Eastern Star with the pentagram. 5 points to represent 5 women of the Bible and 5 virtues. I always forget the name of the 5 women and the 5 virtues, but that is not true. I have not. I have not read any of those books. I don't even know what they are. It's an interesting kind of story, right? The history of that. And it wasn't just books that the Nazis seized. The Nazis seized books. The Nazis seized pieces of art, rings, coins. They did anything that they could take from a Masonic building. They took. If I recall correctly, most of them were stored in Switzerland when they were returned. But it is a kind of a fascinating history. John Raven. This channel is about Freemasonry, promoting the ways Freemasonry was and is relevant to the communities in which it's located, as well as turning my passion for Freemasonry into a profession. So please hit like, please hit subscribe. I would really, really appreciate it. That is true. There was an LGBTQ. There were a ton of targets, unfortunately. I forget all the women. I used to know it. It's Martha is one of them. Ruth is one of them. Esther is one of them. So I can't think of like all of them off the top of my head, but I used to know it. I look it up. I mean, I will say this, to its credit, Eastern Star is actually doing better than a lot of Masonic lodges right now. It still is struggling because there were already less Eastern Star than Freemasons. But it's doing, to its credit, it is doing well, comparatively speaking, especially here in Essex, for example. Oh, Billy Heartthrob. Looking up a bunch of conspiracy bullshit, probably because you have a bad life. There's no bride rituals of any sort in Freemasonry, boy bride or otherwise. You're just a stupid person, which is fine. You get to be stupid on the internet. I always say, if the rule was you're not allowed to be stupid on the internet, no one would be on the internet. But yes, I mean, there's a combination of clandestine, not clandestine stage, and just bullshit. I've been a Mason for 20 years. If you believe those videos, you're just a dumb human being, which is fine. Again, if the rule was only smart people can be on the internet, then there'd be no more internet. It'd be like 7 of us talking to each other. Although to be, it goes back to this idea of like moderation and blah blah blah. Do you let people be part of a group? Do you kick people out? It's a tough thing to find when it comes to like YouTube, right? When I'm doing these streams and somebody is on saying a bunch of nonsense, at what point do you kick them out? I usually struggle to figure out the best answer to that question. I don't know if I know. Because again, people have the right to be stupid, but do they have the right to be stupid on my stream? That's a whole other can of tuna, right? I don't know if that's a good thing or not, TSHSH. I don't know if that's a positive or negative. Harambe was pretty strong, pretty big, so I'll take it. Omni Vincent Amor, to use the Latin. I mean, I don't know. I understand the argument of, for heaven's sakes. I understand the argument, right, of kill them with kindness. And if somebody's being dumb, just, kill them with kindness. Be nice to them. You get more flies with honey than vinegar. I just don't know how accurate or how good it is. See, and as the Fat Muppet says, if you kick people out, that's not, I mean, they're just going to go somewhere else where people agree with them. But what type of audience do I want as well? Do I want people having an audience that is, full of people who are dumb and trolling and et cetera, or just wrong? Because for every minute I have to spend talking to somebody about how Freemasonry does not have any bride rituals of any sort, boy bride rituals or anything else. That's 1 minute I can't be talking about something that a Masonic Lodge could use to help construct and grow itself and grow its relevance in the communities. Well, crack trick, what would you think is the best approach? It was good viewership. Honestly, the viewership was not super great during it. It was good, but the viewership actually grew a lot after. People were finding it after the fact, which makes me think people were searching. People were searching for it afterwards. I don't know if love conquers all. I think hard work conquers all. Well, I'm not a fan of Donald Trump either. Keep in mind, Freemasonry is not political, but I don't like Donald Trump. I think he's a bad person. Rod Dalewar. Rodity? I'll take looking like Matt Damon. I'm much obliged. I think he's a handsome fella. Or Jeffrey Lewis. I guess what I'd want most importantly is my audience to be well engaged and to come away learning something about Freemasonry every single time. I don't use WhatsApp, so I cannot help you with that. Oh, for heaven's sakes. This person's going to create a million different streams. You saying WhatsApp? I think you're saying WhatsApp as in, am I on WhatsApp? Which I am not. I don't. It's funny when I travel. People are always suggesting to me that I use WhatsApp, but it's not really something I'm interested in. Well, nothing's wrong with the Masonic Lodge. I love Freemasonry. I'm grateful for it. Obviously, however, there are a lot of conspiracy theories and baloney about Freemasonry, and very often you find that ends up in my streams, which I guess keeps things interesting. People do, and it's unfortunate, and that's one of the dangers, right, that we have in life is with Freemasonry is because ultimately Freemasonry can mean so many different things. Like if I decide I'm going to call myself a Freemason, put a sign outside my door saying this is Cameron's Masonic Lodge, and do a bunch of nonsense and reflect badly on the craft, ultimately all that does is hurt real Freemasons. So it's really tough, and that's why it is important that we try to have some type of organization and order as it relates to how we license or regulate or charter would be the correct term, Masonic lodges. I mean, strong military connections, certainly we do. During World War I and World War II, it was estimated that about 10 to 20% of soldiers were Freemasons. During the Continental, or the Revolution, I read somewhere it was at 40%. George Washington, John Paul Jones, all these cats were Freemasons. But it still is a relatively small number as compared to the whole, right? There's more soldiers who are not Freemasons than are by a wide margin. So FIFA, I'm going to go with Messi because I don't know anything about soccer, or football if you prefer. So I'm going to go with Messi because he's the one I know. More so than anybody else. There's some truth to that. Douglas Marx. It's not that we believe in geometry. I would hope everybody believes in geometry. If you draw a square and tell me it's a circle because you don't believe in geometry, we've got bigger problems than Freemasonry. But the hope is we recognize the value of geometry in a metaphysical or metaphorical sense as a way to understand the universe and the order of the universe. Paul Revere was a Freemason, Ben Franklin, John Hancock. I know I'm missing a whole bunch, but absolutely. And that's one of genuinely the greatest and coolest parts about Freemasonry is these fascinating and important historical figures that have been part of Freemasonry. But by the same token, you know, your plumber has been a Freemason, not to scare anybody. Your doctor could be a Freemason. It's not just the quote unquote important people that are Freemasons. Freemasonry is open to anybody. So there are many the majority of Masonic lodges are obviously not on military bases. Like my Masonic lodge, my Masonic building is the Windsor Masonic Temple at 986 Olette Avenue. And that's not on a military base, obviously. However, in the Middle East is one location where, yes, you see Masonic lodges on military bases. In Qatar, in Dubai. It's one of the really coolest things about Freemasonry is the fact that it still has this connection to the military. He is very important, and he was a Freemason, so that's a cool little note to keep in mind. Oof, a leg fracture. That sucks. Again, I don't know. I don't follow soccer enough to know if people are played good or not. I was watching the soccer game last night, and it looked to me like the Canadian team was playing really good, but I had no idea, obviously. More people not watching the Bear than they are. Well, it's not needed on a military base. It'll be on a military base if there happens to be enough military members who happen to be Freemasons and want to continue their Masonic experience on the base. You know, it's if there's a military base where there's not enough Freemasons to make anything happen, then they just won't do it. So it's not needed on a base. It's just if you happen to have them and they want to keep it going, they can. But I would think it could probably be helpful in terms of camaraderie and also something to help maybe make your travels feel a bit more like home. If you are on a military base and you've traveled from America, from Canada, from wherever it is, you might be a little bit homesick. Having that connection to your homeland through Freemasonry is probably a good thing, probably a helpful thing. So I am Scottish Rite, Balba. I'm 18th degree Scottish Rite. I don't plan on joining the Shrine or moving any further in Scottish Rite anytime soon. I'm kind of happy where I'm at. I say he wasn't, but certainly he had some ideas that were Masonic. I mean, he's usually pictured with a set of compasses, which, if you know Freemasonry, you know how important those compasses are to our Masonic order and the idea of science and study and things of that nature. Interestingly enough, he passed away in 1519. Freemasonry started about 100 years after him, give or take. Mexico's on a win streak. Hey, I love Mexico. Great country. So crack trick. I mean, keep in mind, you don't recruit within Freemasonry. No one recruited me to be a Freemason. My dad is a Freemason, but even, in that case, he never told me, like, you have to join or anything like that. I was free to make up my own decision if I wanted to join or not. I joined in 2007. I am a 3rd degree Master Mason, which is the highest degree in Freemasonry. I'm also the 18th degree Scottish Rite. And I'm Worshipful Master of my lodge. Border Cities Lodge number 554. It's a dumb question. Sometimes people are dumb. You get used to it. Again, if the rule was you have to be smart to be on YouTube, YouTube would cease to exist. In fact, the whole internet would cease to exist. Jesus was not Jesus was not a Freemason. Freemasonry existed about 1500 years after Jesus existed, so no. Was he a stonemason? Interestingly enough, he probably was. I used to always say Jesus was a carpenter, not a stonemason, but I recently found out that the word, I was going to pull this up. He was a general builder. So he was given the trade of, like, the title, the professional title of a tecton. Oops. Hold on just one sec. So a tecton in ancient times wasn't limited to woodworking. The term described a master craftsman or general builder who worked with their hands to construct, shape, and fashion physical objects. In the first century Galilee, trees and timbers were scarce, whereas limestone and stone were the primary materials for building houses, synagogues, and retaining walls. Consequently, a builder in Jesus' region would have primarily worked with stone. So he was probably, in fact, a stonemason. The kitchen, it's interesting. I mean, I care because I'm a Freemason and I care about stonework and I'm interested in professional and famous stoneworkers. If Jesus was a stoneworker, he'd probably be the most famous one of them all, whatever you believe about the religious side of things. So crack, you do not have to be recruited. One of the biggest mistakes that we see in, like, the public, and I've been seeing since I started this stream, is people believing that you have to be invited or recruited. So they end up not approaching a lodge, not, taking that first step because they're waiting for an invite. If you want to join a lodge, you need to join of your own free will and accord. And that means you need to approach the lodge of your own free will and accord. So no, you do not need to be recruited. You do not need to be invited. Russell Dixon, so I don't know if King Arthur and the Knights actually existed or was completely legendary. There's probably a combination of the two. But whenever King Arthur would have existed, stonemasonry did not exist until 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 years later. Hold on a second. When would King Arthur have existed? Roughly 470 to 535 CE. So Freemasonry ended up existing about 1,000 years later at the earliest. Well, 1100. Although we've said before, right, that stonemasonry, it's what matters with stonemasonry is stone. And so because of that, it's really cool to keep in mind and think about, the story of the sword from the stone, things like that. It's one of those things where in ancient legend and ancient myth, in these foundational stories, so often what we see as being the most important thing is stone and stonework. So maybe Freemasons are onto something, the value and the importance they place in stone. Well, no, the term builder, like when it comes to Jesus, is a religious terminology to my understanding. It's not the same as Freemasonry. They're both interested, I guess, in building, but in different ways. In Freemasonry, it's a metaphor based on our stone mason roots. Oh no, he was way older than that. Like I said, he was way, way older than that. According to this Google search, late 5th, early 6th centuries, which sounds about right. Yeah, I mean, again, I am not the best person to speak about this. Don't get me wrong. You should speak to a biblical scholar. I just found that interesting. This idea of Jesus not being not being a carpenter exclusively, but being a builder of all sorts, including working with stone. Kind of an interesting side note. So Mac has a question. I'm always saying I don't go into specific details about Masonic rituals. You have to kind of join and find out. But here's the general answer I always give. I used to be I used to work in a legal aid clinic. And one of the things I did is I worked with people who were being threatened with eviction. And so um, I was working with this one. She was an older lady. She was from the Middle East, but she was being evicted by her landlord. And the landlord said she didn't pay her rent. And she told the she was saying she did pay her rent. So she was going to the tribunal. And while I'm talking to her, getting the information, to represent her, she told me if I am lying, uh, may God or I'll rip my tongue out and may God strike me dead, is what she said. She didn't mean it literally, obviously. It's impossible, I'm pretty sure, to rip one's tongue out. And I don't think she meant literally she expected to be dropped dead. It was rather she was expressing metaphorically, through the metaphorical idea of physical punishment, how important it was that I believe what she was saying and how seriously she was taking the situation and what she was saying. So it's metaphor, it's allegorical, it's not literal. It's meant to represent the importance of the things that's being said. Um, well, I mean, keep in mind, I'm emulation ritual. Bees are really important in Freemasonry. They're meant to represent industriousness. You see a beehive very often, um, very often found in York Rite or Preston Webb ritual. The beehive is meant to represent industry and cooperation. Um, I mean, I've never really seen, like, when it comes to milk, I think in some cases it has to do with sustenance, although it's usually corn, wine, and oil is the more common symbol for that. Um, it should be on a t-shirt, mayo and Oreos. I agree with that 100%. Maybe that's the next t-shirt I create. If you guys do enough super chats and give me enough Patreon dollars, that'll be my next t-shirt. I'm not gay, I'm handsome. Lewis Walker, I'll take it. Much obliged. Please don't forget, hit like, hit subscribe. Help me we're getting closer and closer to 5,000 subs. We're at 4,316 at the moment, I believe. So we got to say something, right? It's one of those things where it's like you're trying to deal with all these different people. You got to say something. Luke, I mean, I've never heard of Project Camelot, but that sounds like bullshit. First of all, Freemasons couldn't plan COVID because we're not a political institution nor a medical institution. Freemasonry it's not present in mainland China, though it is in Hong Kong. More importantly than that, though, there is no such thing as a high-ranking Freemason. The highest rank in Freemason is the 3rd degree. That's your Master Mason degree. There were way more than 33 cases of COVID. By the way, get yourself vaccinated, to everybody watching this. I mean, I'm pretty sure that the answer to that question is 0 or 1. But there were, unfortunately, obviously, many more cases than 33. I mean, To its credit, many Masonic lodges engaged in a lot of charitable activities during that time, helping their brothers who were struggling. I think it's one of the coolest things about Freemasonry is that you see all of the help and all of the assistance that they provided. We did not do anything for John the Baptist Day, Spirit of Justice. What about yours, your lodge? But keeping in mind, it was not a Masonic psyop. It was not a psyop of any sort, but definitely not a Masonic psyop. The reason why we as Freemasons celebrate St. John the Baptist Day is because, for amongst other reasons, our first ever Grand Lodge, the premier Grand Lodge of England, was formed on June 24th of 1717. All right. Well, I mean, I'm relying upon my 2019, almost 20. I joined in 2007. So my 20 years of being a Freemason, my travels of Freemasonry around the world, my studies of Freemasonry, my involvement as a worshipful master to make intelligent and, to make the most intelligent and obvious solution or response to your statement. You saying that is kind of like you jumping on stream and telling me there are invisible leprechauns in my apartment. I could choose to believe you, or I could choose to use common sense. So Freemasonry, I mean, there's different start dates that you can. There's different start dates that you can have in terms of like when you want to say Freemasonry started. The earliest you can say is 1601 in Scotland. I tend to go with 1634 in Scotland. 1717 in England is the formation of the first Grand Lodge, the premier Grand Lodge of England. Nat, well, I don't see them in my apartment, but if there are frogs, please get rid of them. They'd be a pain in the butt. Millennium, winners and losers in the coming world order. I mean, we in Freemasonry aren't interested in trying to control the coming world order or create a coming world order. The world order is going to be whatever it is. All we can do is try to help our communities as much as we possibly can. Oh, for heaven's sakes. That seems very illegal. All right, guys, Nat Child. We're going to give it another 5 minutes. We're going to start talking about, in this case, the bear. And more particularly, what we within Freemasonry, I think what we can do in Freemasonry to, or the lessons we can take from the bear that we can apply to our Masonic experience, particularly our lodge experience. And it has to do with this idea called unreasonable hospitality. So, Librard, the show is about a restaurant located in Chicago, initially called The Beef, and then they modify it and they retrofit it in the second season to a fine dining restaurant called The Bear. And all of the challenges and issues and problems that and hard parts of working in a restaurant and being part of a restaurant experience, especially one that is struggling as much as The Beef and then The Bear is. So I wrote about this on Medium, in Medium. I hope that you guys will check out my Medium content. I'm really proud to say that it is growing, and for that I'm grateful. I wrote this a couple years ago, but I think it's really worth exploring again. I've been watching the much lauded and deservedly lauded series The Bear. As with everything, my thoughts while watching The Bear turned to Freemasonry. Specifically, what insights from The Bear can be applied to Freemasonry aside from a better green bean recipe? The Bear uses insights from Unreasonable Hospitality, The Remarkable Power of Giving People More Than They Expect by Will Guardera. The book itself has a season 2 cameo in fan favorite episode Forks. Will Guardera is a series co-producer and himself has a season 3 cameo. Okay. Hello, Mark Jameson. Unreasonable hospitality involves seeking out ways to create extraordinary experiences by giving people more than they could ever possibly expect or imagine. Square Income Promotions ordered the book. We can't wait to read it. In the interim, I've been watching several Will Guardera interviews, talks regarding the idea of unreasonable hospitality, and found several insights which could benefit Freemasonry. So, in The Bear, one of the major character arcs is with a character named Richie, Cousin Richie. He is one of the people who works at this restaurant, this sandwich shop called The Beef, which again gets taken over when the owner passes away and passes on the restaurant to his brother. And he's struggling for his purpose. He doesn't really know where he fits in. He discovers a purpose through hospitality, through the art of helping others and the act of supporting others. He in this restaurant is not responsible for the cooking and the food. He runs the wait staff and the service staff and the hospitality staff. All of the interactions that come and connect the people to the kitchen and the people to the food, or the customers to the food. Which I think in some ways that applies to Freemasonry. How do we within Freemasonry create the most hospitable experience for our membership, but also for guests or visitors who may be coming for special events. The character arc of Cousin Richie as a hospitality worker, as someone who finds purpose in service, you see him leaning into this idea of unreasonable hospitality and even reading the book Unreasonable Hospitality. And he applies the insights from that book to the experience he tries to create for people at the restaurant. And I think we can apply those insights from the book Unreasonable Hospitality and apply them to Freemasonry. So I wanted to read some of the insights from, first of all, his interviews and then from the book itself. Insight 1, make sure the experience extends beyond what is normally considered the end of the experience, or make sure the Masonic experience extends beyond the end of the meeting or event. Will Guardera, hereafter the author, wrote Unreasonable Hospitality based on practices he developed while operating 11 Madison Park, at the time named the number 1 restaurant in the world. One of these practices was to give every customer at the end of their meal a take-home container of granola. The author developed this practice to extend his customer's experience beyond the end of the meal. In Freemasonry, do we engage with membership after a Masonic event or meeting ends? Do we engage in the following days, weeks, and see how they are doing? Is there a way to ensure the Masonic experience extends beyond the end of a meeting? Could we give them ideas to ponder, or Masonic insights to engage them between meetings and events? So that could mean, for example, before a Masonic Lodge meeting ends, the Worshipful Master asks every Mason, think about one thing you liked from this meeting and one thing you didn't like from this meeting, and we'll discuss it again tomorrow at the next meeting, right? It's a way for them to keep thinking about the experience even after the Masonic meeting itself is ended. Or maybe you give each Mason a small token or gift as they're leaving, like a bookmark that says, thank you for being here, can't wait to see you at the next meeting. These are ways to extend things beyond what you normally think of or traditionally think of as the end of the meeting. Hello, Shane Simons. Thank you for being here. Insight number 2 that Will Guardera had, relentless intention for every touch point. The author defined touch points as those points at which a customer connected or interacted with his restaurant, starting as soon as a customer called for a reservation. Honestly, the Fat Muppet, sure. Like, and I know you're being sarcastic a little bit, but that's not a terrible idea. Imagine if at the end of your Masonic Lodge meeting, the junior warden created take-home containers of snacks to give to the people to take home for themselves or their wife or family. Now he's got them thinking about Freemasonry even after the meeting is finished. The author noted that most businesses don't realize how many touch points exist with a customer. I would say most Masonic bodies don't realize how many touch points we have with the average member or even the public. How many different ways is it that a member of the public or one of our Masonic members interacts with our Masonic lodges? Touch points such as correspondence, including summons, communications via phone, paying of dues, walking through the door, signing the attendance book, being greeted by the Tyler, the worshipful master's welcome, the meeting, the refreshment, social media, building conditions, like how does your building look, your website, and in the case of visiting brethren, all the above points still exist. Investigations, learning more about the brother, grabbing a coffee, whatever it might be. Can you think of any additional points, right? As Masons, we should be relentlessly intentional in ensuring these touch points are approached with thoughtfulness, clear purpose, and care for the desired results. And we should ask ourselves the following questions in each case. What is the desired result of a meeting? What is the desired result of refreshment? What is the desired result of correspondence? What is the desired result of a website? What is the desired result of having or maintaining a building, right? Sometimes, and they talked about this within quote unquote businesses, but it applies to Freemasonry as well. Sometimes the smallest enhancement to the least obvious point can have the most dramatic effect on the experience. The question, what small enhancements can your Masonic body make that will improve the overall membership experience or community relationship? So one example of this, which I just discovered recently, is, there's a local Masonic organization that had a website, but that website did not have a phone contact on it. And it also did not have any contact information on it at all. Eventually, the person who was interested managed to get in touch with me, and I got them in touch with the right person. But that's a small touch point that with that little enhancement of adding a phone number and adding an email address, suddenly you are helping out very much and creating a better experience for everyone, and specifically for that person trying to make contact with the lodge. And because that goes back to this idea of what is the desired result, right? What is the desired result of having a website? Presumably, it's to share not just information about your lodge, but also to share contact information to ensure that brethren or interested parties can get in touch with you if necessary. What is the desired result of correspondence when the lodge is sending out a summons? Presumably, it's to share information necessary to grow the lodge and to get people to attend. What is the desired result of refreshment? Is it just about giving the guys, whatever food you can give them, and getting them out? Or is it about discussion, fellowship, happiness, enjoyment? You need to figure out what the desired results of the Masonic experience is, but what each point in the process is. What is the desired result of having and maintaining a Masonic building? Why don't we just rent out space above a bank that no one ever sees? It'd be a lot cheaper, but is there a valuable reason and a result we want to have through the maintaining of a Masonic building? And if we do have, a desired result, are we doing what we can to encourage that? So ask yourself, what small enhancements can your Masonic body make that will improve the overall membership experience or community relationship? Insight 3, again, this is still from Will Guardera. Create systems, systematize. Sure, rut row. Creating a mysterious but inviting building. Creating a mysterious and inviting touch point. Um, the stone that the builder refused, I have no idea. I don't know what that means, Half Cake. I would say you should use as your cornerstone the most suitable stone. The author noted that many sports teams review tape to see what they did wrong, but not to see what they did right. In his restaurant, the author ensured that staff reviewed failures and successes. Failures to determine what went wrong and how to avoid those things in future services, and success to determine what went right and how to implement those things in a systemic way in future services. If a Masonic body has a successful meeting or event, that body, or at least the officers therein, should take a few moments to review what made the meeting or event successful, and then create a system to ensure those things are present at the next meeting. In Freemasonry, far too often, we gloss over successes without asking how we achieved those successes, and, more importantly, how to create a system to ensure continued success. Put systems behind success to ensure it continues. I think one of the biggest mistakes we make in Freemasonry is when we have a successful event, a successful celebration, a successful day, very often we do not stop to review it, to ask ourselves, why did it go well? Why was it a success? And how can we ensure that we continue making it a success? Very often, unfortunately, what happens is we simply continue, we simply celebrate it and then move on, right? And I think I've seen a lot of lodges, they have these great successful days, these great successful months, these great successful years, and then because they did not ever take time to review and ask why they were successful and to systematize it, they end up falling off, sometimes very hard. So we need to keep that in mind as well. If you're asking me, from a Christian perspective, you should talk to a priest. I'm not the person you should be asking questions about a relationship with Jesus, right? Insight 4, be grateful. As the author noted in several interviews, being grateful is vital. A Masonic body should be grateful for every member who takes time to attend a meeting. Newer members should also understand why attendance is important and show gratitude to those members who show up for their degrees. I always tell new Masons, thank every Mason who showed up for your degree, whether he works in the degree or not. If you don't, you are not recognizing how important it is that he was there for you, just to be present. Newer members should also understand why attendance is important and show gratitude to those members who attend on degrees. Insight 5, gifts. Local is better. For the author's restaurant, the author ensured customers left with personalized gifts to ensure customers had a personalized experience. The author employed in his restaurant a dream weaver to help create a personalized experience for the guest or customers. These included personal gifts. Many Masonic bodies have pins, coins, or other branded items which they give to visitors, new members, etc. Some Masonic buildings have similar items. In January 2024, the Windsor Masonic Temple held 2 special events which included gifting visiting dignitaries with personalized gifts that highlighted both the Windsor Masonic Temple and Windsor, Ontario. One such personalized gift was a personalized hockey jersey presented to the most worshipful Grand Master Thomas W. Hogenboom, Grand Master of the Grand Lodge of Ancient Free and Accepted Masons in Canada, the province of Ontario. The custom Spitfire jersey was given to him with a number that was important to him, as well as his name. For those who were connected to the temple but were not able to attend events, we had mailed gift packages. The same type of unreasonable hospitality can exist when traveling. Being a traveling Freemason means, while visiting and supporting the businesses of and people in the community, when Square Incomes Promotions visits our brethren at Glenview Masonic Temple, we purchase for the brethren macaroons from the amazing Tout Le Jour, one of our favorite places, one of our favorite towns. Gifts and personalized gifts help create a more special, enjoyable, and memorable Masonic experience. Give gifts, be present. Again, from this book, Unreasonable Hospitality, the author explained that he had a light bulb moment, which led to the concept of unreasonable hospitality, happened because he was present, both physically and in terms of concentration, when a customer in his restaurant made a comment that he overheard. If the author had not been paying attention, had not been present, he may not have overheard the comment, which led to the entire concept discussed in the medium's story. If the author had not been paying attention and had not been present, his restaurant would not have been named the best restaurant in the world. In our Masonic meetings or events, how often are we present both physically and in terms of our concentration? Do we sit in meetings and pay attention to what is being said, or do we zone out? And if we zone out, what are we missing? Now, I will never say to anybody that, your presence doesn't matter, right? Like if you're physically there, but you're zoning out, I'd rather have you still be present physically and zone out than not be present at all. Because most people aren't going to know you're zoning out, including the candidate during a degree, and they're just going to appreciate seeing the lodge room full of people. So that's really special and really important. Having said that, you will get way more out of Freemasonry and you'll get way more out of your experience if you are not just present physically, but also present emotionally, mentally, and in terms of your concentration. So take your time to get to know the people around you. Take your time to pay attention to what's being said in the lectures. Take your time to listen to what the master is saying. You never know what you might be missing, and you never know what you could take from a meeting and apply to your day-to-day life or to Masons. Insight 7. If you want them to be there when you need them, then you need to be there when they need you. In Freemasonry, visitation is so vital and important for many reasons. Visitation will improve a Masonic career. Visitation will also ensure a visitor's Masonic body will receive visitors in turn, and visitors that can assist the body when needed. If you're the worshipful master of a lodge and you're trying to put on a degree and you need help from outside of your lodge, you'd better be visiting those lodges you're going to be asking for help from, right? It's incredibly important that you do that you visit other lodges as often as possible and get to talk to them, get to know them. Help out with them, care about them, they'll care about you. Making it worth it. A character in the Bear notes that the term hospitality includes the word hospital. Hospitality is about taking care of people. Are we, as Freemasons, taking care of our brothers, our community, and our lodges? All opinions expressed are those of Square and Compass Promotions and the guests, and do not reflect the opinions of the Windsor Masonic Temple or any Masonic group. No, we don't worship the master. It's a term of respect. If you are just joining, please take a moment, hit like, hit subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. So that was the first story I wrote regarding unreasonable hospitality and Freemasonry. I then, that was based on interviews with the author and discussions from the author. But then I was able to read the book, and I wrote part 2 about a month later. And then again, I was able to take insights not just from interviews with the author of the book, but I took insights from the book itself and applied it to Freemasonry once again. So, as I noted before, unreasonable hospitality involves seeking out ways to create extraordinary experiences by giving people more than they could ever possibly expect or imagine. So we within Freemasonry need to create experiences that give our membership and the public more than they could ever possibly imagine. So here's some more of the insights, these ones taken directly from the book, Unreasonable Hospitality. First, know why your work is important. In the book Unreasonable Hospitality, Will Guadera discusses the value of knowing and understanding why your work is important. Freemasonry is no different. This is true in both a micro and a macro sense. How many Freemasons understand the importance of such mundane tasks as reading the minutes, reviewing correspondence, or even paying the bills? These boring administrative tasks are nonetheless important, in fact vital, to the well-functioning of a Masonic lodge or body, as it ensures a lodge is financially sound and operating in a manner that respects its membership and the larger community. How many Freemasons understand the importance of administrative tasks related to our Grand Lodge communications, dispensations, etc.? Grand Lodge administrative tasks, including maintaining the necessary records and documents, are important as they ensure a consistent lodge experience across a jurisdiction, provide financial stability for a jurisdiction, and ensure Masonic lodge ritual and practices remain standard across the jurisdiction, as well as protecting against clandestine or improper Masonic bodies that seek to take advantage of membership. In the macro sense, how many Freemasons understand the importance of Freemasonry? How many understand why it's important that Freemasonry exists? Do you know why Freemasonry is important? Do you know that the proven health benefits for those engaged with social groups, especially older individuals? Do you know what the charitable work's done by and for Freemasons? Do you know how many members and families have roof over their heads and food in their stomachs due to Masonic benevolence and charity? Do you know what the connections between strong communities and strong Masonic lodges? We at Squaring House Promotions have taken great efforts to educate Masonic membership and the public regarding the above questions and more generally the importance of Freemasonry, because we believe that everyone needs to know why the work of Freemasonry is important and why it's work. No, the Freemasons are not the deep state, so keep that in mind. There is no such thing as a deep state, in my opinion. It might not work is a terrible reason not to try. This may be the most valuable insight contained within Unreasonable Hospitality. In Freemasonry, the famous past master statement is, "That's not how we did it in my day." We are often afraid to try out of the fear it will not work. While fear of failure is very real, it very often blinds us to exciting possibilities. Our homes, my home, have engaged in numerous activities, initiative efforts, rededicated itself to the growing of struggling lodges such as Border Cities Lodge. Some other successful initiatives included, for the next 100 years, a January 2024 public unveiling, Masonic Temple spaces for local artists, coffee with the cop, coffee with the fire crew, and more. During the pandemic, when lodges, no, Shane, Masons don't drink blood. During the pandemic, when Masonic bodies and lodges were required to find new ways to engage, Harmony Lodge used virtual meeting spaces to invite guest speakers from around the world, as well as took part in virtual beer and cheese tastings, a whiskey tasting. As we'd never done these things before, many felt they would not work. But it might not work is a terrible reason not to try, and they did work. No, you don't. I mean, you may drink sheep's blood. I think people use sheep's blood in cooking sometimes. Whatever you do, make sure you're safe. Make sure you're doing so hygienically, talking about food preparation. Listen to every idea. This insight connects very closely to the former. It is so easy to dismiss ideas out of hand because, wait for it, they might not work. Listening to an idea costs time. However, think of that cost as an investment that could pay off in the future. Even if the initial idea is not feasible, it may contain elements of a better idea in the future. Also, from a lodge administration perspective, a worshipful master or past master taking the time to listen to the idea of a more junior member, even enter apprentice, will build trust between junior members and lodge administration, make junior members feel part of the Masonic lodge or body, and will increase junior member confidence. Excellence is the culmination of thousands of details executed perfectly. This insight equals one of our favorite statements by Vincent van Gogh. Great things are done by a series of small things brought together. For a Masonic lodge or body to run excellently, 1,000 or thousands of details need to be executed perfectly. These details include, but are not limited to, ritual details, administrative details, communication details, building or temple details, and more. Most people don't realize the thousands of details that go into making a lodge run or the perfection required to make a lodge run excellently. Details matter, and executing details perfectly matters too. Um, choose conflicting possibilities. And this is a really important thing that I think we in Freemasonry very often don't do because we think it's a one or the other. This insight may seem counterintuitive, but it may actually be the most useful. Many times, Masonic lodges or bodies seem to face Faustian bargains between conflicting possibilities. Is it possible to create membership? Sorry, is it possible to increase membership and increase dues? Hope everybody's okay. Is it possible to complete Masonic administrative tasks and create an enjoyable business meeting experience? Is it possible to provide high-end Masonic experiences and banquets and save money and lower the budget? Is it possible to resolve these conflicts? As Unreasonable Hospitality notes, Southwest Airlines, for instance, set out to be both the lowest cost airline in America and number one in both customer and employee satisfaction. These goals would seem to be in opposition, and perhaps they are, but much of the time they've succeeded in all three. Certainly the efforts they've made toward these contradictory goals have done wonders for their bottom line. For the last half century, Southwest has been the most profitable airline in the USA. Masonic lodges can provide high quality experiences and lower costs, lower dues. Masonic lodges can complete all necessary business while creating a compelling meeting experience. Masonic lodges can increase membership and dues. You need to be as unreasonable in how you build your team as you are in how you build your product or experience. Translation, guard the West Gate. Building a successful Masonic experience is of vital importance, but no more so than building the team that will deliver that experience. Many jurisdictions have focused more efforts on the candidate or applicant selection process, but encouraging Masonic lodges to spend several months getting to know an applicant before proceeding with his initiation, making sure that the applicant is or will be of a good fit for the lodge, is incredibly important. Right? We are trying to build a team, and part of building a team means guarding the West Gate successfully. It's far too easy to accept an application without due diligence required to understand if the candidate is the right fit for lodge. Conclusion, at its core, Unreasonable Hospitality is about caring for people. At its core, Freemasonry is about caring for people too. It's cool to care. So I can share those stories with anybody who might be interested. But I do hope that we within Freemasonry remember that unreasonable hospitality is an incredibly important part of, creating an unreasonable experience is an incredibly important part of the lodge experience. And I hope that you guys will check them out. Shane, Freemasonry has nothing to do with the Georgia Guidestones. All right, we got to get rid of this guy. It is, and I think so obviously day to day, it's incredibly important that we care about people. I think that's obvious. But I also think it's incredibly important that in a more general sense, we do our best to care about things in an organized way. Again, create a system that helps us care for people. Within Freemasonry, we have the opportunity to do that. Who the fuck is Oliver Tree, and why does he keep coming up? It's driving me insane. Is it some type of weird like online thing. Like I know he's somebody who's online. Is it some new type of meme? I mean, I don't know who he was. I don't know who he is. I'm very sad if he passed away. That makes me sad because I guess he was young. But like, it keeps popping up. I don't get why. It's so strange to me that he keeps showing up in all of my streams all the time. I'm very sad he's passed away. I don't know him. I don't know. I wish he was still around. I don't know any of his songs, A, and B, I don't want to. I don't want to get copyrighted, so no. He was born again. I mean, that's nice, good for him. But again, I don't know him, so it sucks. I mean, unfortunately, we've lost many artists throughout history for in different plane crashes. I mean, one of my favorite band of all time is Leonard Skinner, and famously, right, Leonard Skinner lost their lead singer in a plane crash, along with I think a couple other people from the band. I mean, maybe JJ. I've not heard anything. Again, I don't know him, so I don't know. If he was, then I guess it's. I mean, it's not any more sad when you lose somebody. I don't care whether they were going to convert to a Freemason or not. It's just sad. So I'm very sorry to all of his fans who, who lost somebody they love. But I do not know him. I've never met him. I got nothing. And yes, that's a good point as well. In fairness, I should have brought that up. You don't convert to being a Mason. Because Freemasonry is not a religion. So some people, will become Freemasons. Some people don't. It just depends on your decision and your desire. You can be initiated. You can become a Freemason, but that's not the same thing as being converted. You must join Freemasonry. You can be... Yes, that is very true. I mean, being a Freemason will not affect your religious denomination, whatever it might be. We have Christian Freemasons and Muslim Freemasons and Jewish Freemasons. There are some Freemasons who are Christian and who are leaders, leaders within their churches, pastors and priests and stuff. So that's a really cool thing to keep in mind as well. I mean, Mr. Dane, what do you mean USA or China? I mean, I've said it before, Canada is the greatest country in the world, in part because we have the greatest neighbors in the world. Like politically, well, obviously, I prefer the American political system. I mean, honestly, I prefer the Canadian political system. I think we have the best political system ever. But, I think, look, fair enough as well to, I think ultimately a democratic system of government is the most important thing. So Goulash, The Bear is a cooking comedy show. It's a wonderful show. It's, in my opinion, the best show on television the last 10 years. I love it. Season 5 is being released today. I think you can apply a lot of what you see in The Bear to Freemasonry, and that's what I'm doing. I just finished reading 2 articles I wrote that apply lessons that The Bear uses with its characters to Freemasonry. My favorite famous Canadian, Bret the Hitman Hart. Shane, I have no idea what you're talking about. We don't have divine initiations. We have initiations. We have worshipful masters, not worshipful master. And we're not oppressing anyone. In fact, Freemasonry, I think, has been a voice for freedom at many times throughout our history, which is one of the greatest things about it. So all of that is wrong. Well, I mean, I don't know what divine initiation means. I mean, I don't know. Like some people may find a spiritual connection with with their divine. I don't know. I don't get it. I guess is my point. What you mean by that? I look. I love Freemasonry, and it's very important to me. But I would not call it divine, right? I think that's a silly way to describe it. ID1, thank you. Well, I mean, that's interesting, kind of. Like, no, but at the same time, sure, in the sense that to be a cook, to be a chef is a trade. Our stone Masonic aprons were evolved from trades guilds and stonemasons. And to be a chef, you're a tradesman. You are a craftsman. Your food is what you're crafting with. Your tools are your chef tools, but you are as much of a craftsman as a stonemason. So sure, you could argue that there's a similarity in that they both evolved from this idea of working with your hands. So yeah, sure. I think that's one of the best things about it, genuinely, is the fact that we have this Masonic history that connects so well to tradesmen and to trade schools and to what it means to be in the trades. There you go. Do I believe in objective truth? Um, I mean, yes. I would need to know a little bit more about what you mean by that. Um, like, I know what this will sound like. I believe in truths like that, basically sense memory truths, if we're going to call them that. Robbie, Freemasons are not a secret society because here I am talking about it. So how secret can it be? What about a secondhand set of knowledge force-fed by patterning? That I have no idea what you're talking about. Patterns are just part of life. They're part of what it means to be human. Our ability to recognize patterns was an incredibly important evolutionary advantage. But in terms of Freemasonry, the ability to recognize patterns is what allowed stonemasons to create these great structures throughout history. Um, JJ, I think Masons need to be relevant to attract youth. Whether we are 420 friendly or not, I think is kind of irrelevant. What matters is, are we relevant to people's lives? Are we important in people's lives? Do we demonstrate to people importance that we matter, right? If we don't, then we're going to be struggling. What do I know firsthand? I mean, what my senses tell me I know firsthand. It's possible I could be a brain in a vat somewhere and actually know nothing, but at a certain point, you have to kind of rely on your senses to at least create a map of your day-to-day world and your day-to-day life. Um, I don't see how you could exist in any meaningful way without that. I don't think we get that many. They'd forget about their initiations, and there'd be no point. We wouldn't ever get them to join because they would be forgetting about their initiations. Um, so Husafel, the Egyptians were not Freemasons. The Egyptians were stonemasons by definition, right? They built things out of stone. Um, but they are not Freemasonry. Freemasons did not exist until at least a couple thousand years after the ancient Egyptians were building the pyramids, if not more. I forget the exact dates of the pyramids. So, no. When you say what is the most high, what do you mean by that? Like, what is the most important? To me, the most important thing is nature and the ability to recognize patterns in nature and then to use those patterns to live a virtuous life. It's one of those things where, like, what else can you I guess some people would say the Most High is Jesus, the Most High is God, the Most High is whatever it is. I just don't think that that stuff is very, to me, the Most High, again, is nature and the rational nature of the universe. But every Freemason will have their own answer to that question. Every Freemason will have their own answer to the question of what is the Most High. For some, it may be Jesus. For some, it may be Allah. All of which are completely acceptable within Freemasonry and within the Masonic experience. And truly, that's one of the greatest things, in my opinion, about Freemasonry, is the fact that we are so welcoming of different faiths and backgrounds and beliefs. I think we demonstrate to the world at large that within Freemasonry, it is absolutely possible to work with others of different beliefs for a common purpose. I liked the back rooms a lot. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was great. I just think it's great to see YouTube creators having so much success in Hollywood. I think that that is ultimately incredibly helpful. It was awesome. It was really fun to watch. People really loved it. I got good views at the time, but I'm going to get, I think, even greater views very shortly when I repost. Please make sure to check out the video, leave some comments, all that good jazz. Oh, Nate with the jokes. The number after 32. There's really nothing special about it. It's just there were 32 degrees in Freemasonry. We added a 33rd. It's an honorary or honorific degree, which does not make you higher than a 3rd degree Master Mason. There's 33 vertebrae. Jesus was 33 years of age. I've heard all that stuff before. None of it is true. It just is simply a reference to coming after the number 32. There are not, Patrick. We got a lot of people with the jokes right now. Most recent new movie I saw was Backrooms. However, I was at the Windsor Public Library last night and I rented a bunch of movies. All of them were incredible. I loved them. I thought they were really, really great. And yeah, if you are like me and a believer in physical media, then I would suggest, if you can, you check out your local library. They're one of the few places you can still go to rent physical DVDs, which I love. Patrick, I am not. I mean, the way it's going to affect Canada, aside from the fact that there may be Canadians who are also Ukrainian, as well as Canadians who are also Russian, and therefore they may have family there or be there themselves. You know, any war anywhere in the world will disrupt supply lines and could potentially result in increased inflation as goods and services can't get by. So there's that as well. Beyond that, I will say there are Freemasons in both Russia and Ukraine, all recognized by Canada. And obviously, we just want everybody to be as safe as possible, and we want this to end as soon as possible, I think. I think that's true for everybody. Right? We just don't want people to be harmed. We don't want people to be hurt. Now, obviously, in my opinion, Russia was the aggressor, so I have real problems with the Russian government. But I think we're all hoping and praying for a just peace. I should Idiwan Kenobia. Any type of war, and obviously this isn't the main reason to not go to war, obviously, because what matters most is the loss of life. But having said that, any war is going to result in supply line disruptions and is going to increase the cost of things. So I don't think it's better for anybody. JJ, I do not. I don't mind Tony Blair. I don't really know a lot about him, but I don't think he's interested in the job. So I am working, Umar, for myself. My goal is to turn my passion for Freemasonry into a profession through content creation. But so please hit like, subscribe, super chat, all that good jazz. That'd be incredibly helpful, and welcome. We're getting a lot of new people checking out the stream. For that, I'm truly grateful. So thank you. Omar, I think a lot of people have that as a concern. Hey, we talked about that here. What we need to do is we need to make sure that you have a clear purpose for everything you're doing in Freemasonry. I also think you need to have a clear purpose for everything you do in terms of going to war. Why are your too long? Where are you from, sir? I am from Canada. Born and raised in Winnipeg. Currently live in Windsor, Ontario. No, primary, I don't. I do this to earn money, Omar. So I have my Patreon. I have my Patreon. I have my super chats. I have my memberships. Please help me out by becoming a member. Thank you for that, Patrick. I'm very much appreciative. Obviously, the most Masonic food is going to be green beans. And if you know the joke, you know the joke. But I would say spaghetti bolognese can be a good Masonic food. Ultimately, I've said this before, the most important food, like Masonic food, really is anything that is easy to make, that stays for a long period of time, and that does not spoil, and that can be made vegetarian. So, for example, I would say that soups and stews are the most Masonic food. Pasta is okay, but the problem with pasta as a Masonic food is I find sometimes it can be hard to produce enough for a large group of people because people tend to fill up on pasta. And also sometimes people forget that they need to have a vegetarian version of the pasta as well. Right? They tend to just focus on the meat sauce and forget we got to take care of our vegetarian brothers as well. And also I find many times pasta can have pork products. So if you're going to serve pasta in a Masonic lodge, which is awesome, just make sure you have a vegetarian option. Make sure you're keeping it safe, above the temperatures, not letting it get to room temperature for 2 hours, and that you have enough of it. And also add some bread. I find bread is a cost-effective way to get a lot of calories into people for relatively inexpensively. Any lentils? Lentils are great. Lentil soup, genuinely, I've said this before, is an awesome, awesome Masonic food. Because again, it's relatively inexpensive. It's vegetarian. You can create lentil soup and keep it on the side. And it's just a really good idea. So I support lentil soup 100%. You can have non-meat pasta and it's great. I'm not saying only non-meat pasta, right? You can have both. And also, a good piece of advice is if you are going to serve non-meat pasta, or vegetarian pasta is a better way to put it, make sure that what you are doing also is label them both, so a vegetarian doesn't actually get the meat pasta, but also try to keep some to the side. There are some people, like I'm one of them, I honestly very often prefer eating, I often very much prefer eating vegetarian dishes to meat dishes. And so because of that, one of the things that sometimes happen is, I'll go up to an event and I'll take the vegetarian option. If you have less vegetarian options than meat options, try to make sure you keep at least some of the vegetarian food back so the vegetarians get it first before us meat eaters. take it. Welcome, Anna Dillay. Please hit like and subscribe. I love pizza. Pizza's great. Pizza's a really easy Masonic meal. The problem with pizza, though, is I find it can be very expensive. But hey, it's good. Nothing's wrong with it. There's no such thing as an LGBT friendly or not friendly meal. I don't know what that even means. There are plenty of, gay or straight Freemasons. Doesn't make a difference. I think it is a troll. Oh, yeah, it was, people debate this back and forth, but most scholars agree the forget-me-not flower was used and worn by Masons in World War II in Germany to identify themselves as Masons, because Freemasonry at the time was outlawed in Germany. So you had to, wear symbols to demonstrate that you were yourself a Freemason without potentially having the Nazis notice you. Coca-Cola. I much prefer Coke to Pepsi or Fanta or anything else. Dylan, yes. Fish fries are a very common thing. You see them very often in a variety of different contexts within Freemasonry. But yeah, sure. I personally love fried fish, and the Essex County fish fry is really, really impressive and really great. So yeah, I love fish fries. I think they're awesome. And we've done several. I've also been to several Masonic fish fries. I like tofu as well, JJ. I think tofu's great. It's interesting, there are some fine dining lodges in England. So, the bear coming out. So, yeah. I enjoy pork belly also. I think it's incredible. Honestly, I like most types of food. My favorite type of food is free food. My dad is English. Are we asking for the different LGBTQ definitions? I think it means it's kind of a catch-all category, meaning if you don't feel like it fits, your sexuality fits into any particular specific label, you can use queer as kind of a catch-all, which fair enough. There's no such thing as a free lunch. I've got a lot of free lunches in my life, so sure. Now, obviously, everybody always has to pay for something. That's true, but that's a different kind of tuna. But thank you for being here. Please take a moment. If you are new, hit like, hit subscribe, super chat, comment. Believe me, all that stuff helps out big time, and I would be grateful. And it's wonderful to see everything growing as well. Thank you so much. You can use whatever words you want, I suppose, with obvious exceptions. All I'm saying is this channel is a LGBTQ safe space. So there you go. No, I've never got anybody buy me lunch because I'm a Freemason. But, for example, going out to a friend's house, we hang out, they give me lunch. Going out to a friend's barbecue. There's a lot of Masonic barbecues happening over the summer that I'm going to go to. Sometimes I'll bring some dishes myself. Sometimes I won't. It just depends. And that's fair, Half-Cake. Sometimes people don't like this kind of deal with always having labels, and I think that's perfectly fair. So, yeah. I'm supporting Canada. I'm Canadian, born and raised in Canada. I don't know, whatever you say. Bruce Jenner can, I guess, I can't think of the name now. Caitlyn. I was trying to think of the name. Caitlyn Jenner can do whatever Caitlyn Jenner wants to do. Does not make a difference to me. Canada is part of the English Commonwealth. King Odie, Canada is the greatest country in the world. Now, in part, it's because we have the greatest neighbors in the world, but primarily it's because we are the greatest country in the world. We have the greatest people in the world. Now, I firmly believe that every Freemason should feel that way about their country. So I would expect every American Mason to say America is the greatest country in the world. I would expect every person from England to say England is the greatest country in the world. I think it is incumbent upon us to care about our countries and where we're from. What do you want to know about them, the Fat Muppet? I think they're an excellent order. They were founded in, I'm probably going to get these dates wrong, so please forgive me if I do, but they were founded in, I believe, 1908 in England. They presently exist primarily in England, but they are also lodges in Canada. One thing people don't realize about them is they actually refer to themselves as brother, meaning brotherhood of man, right? Like mankind. They were actually heavily involved in the suffrage movement and encouraging women to have the right to vote. So I think that's one of the greatest feathers in their caps. It's unfortunate that for so long there was a split where they weren't recognized. I think that's unfortunate. So I'm grateful that you're seeing that go away, especially in the United Kingdom, where you're seeing them be recognized, which I think is a really good thing. And I mean, I think the United Grand Lodge of England has done incredible steps to encourage the development, the innovation, the creation of a relationship between Freemasonry and the Order of Women Freemasons. So yeah, their current Grand Master. Let me just see if I can get her name. Gotta love the YouTube life. The current Grand Master of the Order of Freemasons, Most Worshipful Brother Jean-Michel Knight, succeeded Most Worshipful Brother Zuzanka Daniel Penn, who held the position for 15 years. It was founded in 1908. I was right. You can learn more about them through owf.org.uk. They do a ton of incredible charitable work and Masonic work. Epstein was not a Freemason. So no, you're incorrect. Very sorry. There's no evidence that he was at all. One and only, I mean, okay, what I am is handsome. Please hit like and subscribe. No, Eyes Wide Shut does not show the truth behind Freemasonry. Alois Albert Pike was the sovereign Grand Commander of a Southern Masonic jurisdiction. He was not a Grand Master of my jurisdiction or of any other jurisdiction except through Scottish Rite. So no, you don't know what you're talking about. Thank you, the Fat Muppet. No, Jesuits, to my understanding, is a Catholic order, right? It's a religion. Freemasonry is not a religion. Oh, well then one and only hobo. A statement like that tells me you know nothing. I just swallowed something, went down the wrong way. This idea of I'm a 33rd degree Mason, so I know more, it's bullshit. Because you're not part of the York Rite, you're not part of the Shrine, you're not part of Demolay or Eastern Star. I don't know how active you are in your craft lodge. This idea, like a true 33rd degree would never say something that dumb and that stupid. He was a Grand Master. In which jurisdiction? But the point is, there is no single Grand Master responsible for Freemasonry, right? Um, um, there are different jurisdictions, and each jurisdiction has different rules, regulations, and important figures. Are you sure he was a most worshipful? So he was the sovereign Grand Commander of the Southern Masonic jurisdiction in Scottish Rite. He was there for, I think, like 30 years, something like that. Um, I don't think, though, he was ever the Grand Commander of a Blue Lodge jurisdiction or a Craft Lodge jurisdiction. I mean, I would say Freemasonry, Patrick, is the exact opposite. Um, right? Which is, in my experience, Freemasonry actually promotes tolerance, respect, kindness, dedication to others and to one's community, regardless of the extent to which the community members are of different races and religions and backgrounds. So Freemasons are not racist, at least if they're doing things right. Now, that's not to say there haven't been Masonic, Freemasons who are racist in the past. Unfortunately, Freemasons are human beings. We do not escape the prejudices of our times. But if you're doing things right and properly, you should not, as a Freemason, be racist. There are many black Freemasons. One of my very first worshipful masters was black. I would say, in general, the percentages, the relationship within Freemasonry in terms of races, it just reflects the community in which you're located. If you're in a community with, 30% black, 50% white, 20% Hispanic, your lodge will likely be similar in percentage-wise. One and only, don't be that guy. People who yell freedom of speech when they're being assholes, it's like, that's usually not a good look. I mean, I don't think you're homeless, just despite that your name says you one and only. But if you are, it does not make a difference. I want to celebrate or focus on the internal and not external qualifications of man, not the house that they have or don't have. I know nothing about the Kennedy family curse. One of my favorite movies is 13 Days, which talks about the Kennedys. Sugarcane? No idea. It's a weird question. I mean, I assume 10%, because it's just going to be whatever it is in the population. Oof. Please take a moment. If you are just joining us, hit like, hit subscribe. Well, I mean, if somebody's trying to join a lodge and they are homeless, I would be concerned about their ability to focus on Freemasonry, to pay their Masonic dues. They should be focused on getting a place to stay. Like, what happens if you as a homeless person end up getting offered a job? You should obviously take it. And the job says, we need you to work during initiation. You can't turn that down. You need the work, you need the job. But it's just important to keep in mind and remember that you need to, or you should, do your best to make sure that you have yourself in a good condition, financially, emotionally, physically, before you start looking at taking on additional responsibilities. And despite what people may say, Freemasonry is a responsibility. So it's not everybody thinks about it that way, but it is. Everyone has a soul. Right? Everybody has a soul, Shane. Now, what you believe in terms of what a soul is or isn't, I suppose everybody will decide that for themselves. But, like, if you want to talk about definitions of it, but I don't think there's any question in my mind that every human being has a soul, whether you're a Freemason or not. We have gay Freemasons and straight Freemasons. It does not make a difference. I mean, I can speak for myself and say I'm not a fan of, um, and say I'm not a fan of Donald Trump at all. I think he's a bad person. I think he's done a bad job. Now, some Freemasons may love him, some may hate him, some may be in between. I can just say I'm not a fan of it or of him. This isn't such a chill life. I'm doing 24-hour streams trying to grow this thing. It's a lot of work. Um, I don't disagree with you, one and only hobo. I'm just saying, hit the like and subscribe button. Um, and we can talk politics here, but keep in mind it's not a Masonic conversation. And now we got some pro-Trump people on the stream. All right, well, that keeps things interesting. I'm a Freemason. The rest of it doesn't matter. Um, yes, everyone hit like and subscribe. I would be much obliged. I hope everybody's doing well. I mean, I don't mind when people want to talk politics. It's just, I mean, I can just say what I think I have to think about is how his policies affect Freemasonry. So, for example, as he makes things more expensive, how do we in Freemasonry adapt to dealing with the increased costs that our brethren are going through? If North Korean joined, well, if he joined, I mean, there is no Freemasonry in North Korea, so presumably he would be joining in another country where he is either a citizen or an immigrant. Either way, yes, he would be considered a Freemason. Freemason isn't meant free in a political sense, right? It's meant to be free in a different sense, but he would be my brother, so we're all going to be called the same thing. Do not know anything about the CIA MK Ultra program, so I can't speak on that. Welcome, Rick Charles. I don't know what they're at right now. They're coming down a little bit, I think, but they're still higher than we'd like them to be, obviously. I mean, one and only, Freemasons do help people all the time, but keep in mind we're a private organization. We don't owe anybody admission, and there may be a valid reason why they did not want to admit you into the order. We don't owe anybody admission. Now, it's a good thing. Everybody deserves the right to be heard out if they're interested in joining, but that's where it stops. They often do. I mean, it might be that where you are. It's pretty high some other places, I can say. Well, I mean, obviously, I don't support dosing anybody with any substance without their knowledge and against their will. Your grandmother had I mean, it's rare for the grandmother to have the Masonic ring. It could be a gift from your grandfather, or it could be something she just liked the design of. Or it's possible she's Eastern Star or a member of the Order of Women Freemasons, though it's more unusual. So that's interesting. I mean, again, one and only. We don't owe anybody membership. We don't owe anybody admission. It's not even in this stream. No, I don't owe anybody to stay on here. What I would say is if they did feel like your mental health problems were too significant for admission, that doesn't mean you stop. That means you do what you can to work on yourself, to demonstrate that you're doing whatever you need to do, taking medications or anything else. And then from there, you just try again. There's no harm in trying again a couple of years down the line, right? It could have been a gift as well, but twisted. It's called blue car syndrome, right? Um, See, the fact that you're acting this way, one and only hobo, makes me think you're not worthy or not good to be a Freemason either. If you're going to come in with this much sense of entitlement that we owe you joining, I wouldn't want to have you join either. Um, he would still be considered a Freemason in terms of having been initiated, but he would be suspended from the craft for breaking the law, as he should be. So he would not be a current member. And Trado brings up a good point. Ishal, I like to think I look like Thanos. He's a handsome fella. Please hit like and subscribe. Blue car syndrome. Not blue Carl. Blue car. It means if you buy a blue car, you see blue cars everywhere. In the same way, if you join Freemasonry or start thinking about Freemasonry, you end up, seeing Masonic symbols and signs everywhere. Like, you could have, where is it? Audio? I'll check it out. I'll check out your podcast as well. So twisted, right? Like, if you weren't thinking about Freemasonry and if you weren't checking out this channel, you would never have noticed the ring on your grandmother's hand. So the point is, like, very often it's just a matter of frequency bias is another term for it. I'm not making fun of you, one and only hope. I'm just saying this entitlement you have of just accept me. It's like, that's not how it works. There are many people who don't get admitted into Freemasonry who have no mental health conditions. There's a variety of reasons. The lodge may just not feel they're the right fit. If you think you're the right fit and you want to try it again, do what you can to get your life in as good as order as you can, and then just try again. But Freemasonry, ultimately, we are a private club. We're a group. Everybody should feel comfortable approaching the lodge and expressing an interest in joining. Everybody should, because that is completely fair, completely right. But the application process itself, the final decision is up to the vote of the lodge. So Freemasonry is speculative, but we evolved from cathedral builders and we evolved from stonemasons, which is one of the really cool parts of Freemasonry, is the evolution it had from operative and craftsman to tradesman. That's the thing I love about it the most. All right. I never said you heard voices. We're going to put everybody in timeout because this is getting annoying. And you guys are being dumb across the board. So we're putting people in a timeout. So dogs are God's gift. I'm not going to repent from Freemasonry. 2030, welcome. So somebody said, if there was a nuclear war broke out, who do you think we nuked first? Honestly, I think all we need to think about is how we can do our best to create a society, in fact, create a world in which no one is at risk of being nuked. And I think that will rely upon a greater number of Masons. Because the more Masons we have across the world, in different countries, the stronger civic and civil institutions will be. The stronger civic and civil institutions will be, the better off we will be in terms of a society and our ability to communicate with one another and potentially to negotiate. I do have a Discord server. I just never got around to really doing anything with it. It's on my list. I don't remember how to access it, to be honest. I forget my passcode. I mean, I'm glad, Josh. Dogs are wonderful creatures. I think dogs are better than human beings most of the time. We're going to give this another 5 minutes. I'll be ending the stream. I will be back on tomorrow, or tonight. Well, tomorrow, technically, 1 a.m. Eastern. I do these streams 1 a.m. and 1 p.m. Mondays through Fridays. So let's give it a couple more minutes. We'll just see who jumps on to say hello. I mean, that's a weird way to put it, J-Flow. Like, you make it sound like it's Jesus or nothing else. I mean, there's the Muslim faith, there's the Jewish faith. My supreme being is the rational nature of the universe as expressed through science. I do not. The Freemason Bible is actually just a King James version of the Bible with a square and compass on the front and a place for visiting brethren to sign. Cameron. I will say hot dogs are the best food during summer and during barbecues. Would I say that Masonic teachings lead to enlightenment? I am not a Scientologist. I mean, enlightenment, but not in a religious context, right? You definitely are enlightened as to learning more about the world and learning more about how to live within this world, how to be a good neighbor, a good friend, a good brother. So you are enlightened on a certain set of living skills, but I wouldn't use the term enlightenment in a religious sense. You need to, kind of separate those two. A good way to put it is if you're a football player, you will be enlightened on certain skills as well, or certain values, the value of teamwork, the value of hard work, the value of dedication, the value of caring for people around you, the value of practice, of physical fitness, of responsibility, of health. And those values can be taken off of the football field and applied to your day-to-day life. Within Freemasonry, it's the same thing. Well, I mean, it's a supreme being that's not conscious or not aware, but it does make its will or itself known to us because we are rational beings, and every time we engage in any type of scientific experiment or discovery, that is my supreme being making its will known to us, and to live in accordance with it is virtuous. Because if we try to ignore nature or live outside of nature, we will simply harm ourselves. If we try to ignore, for example, gravity and jump off tall buildings, we're going to hurt ourselves or worse. So there you go. That's the most basic question. Hello, Sunderland Fisherman. When you say, why should I become a member of yours, do you mean a member of the YouTube channel or a member of Freemasonry? So yeah, it's on pod. Let me see if I can get you the link to it. I don't do as much stuff there, and I'm trying to grow it once again. But obviously, the majority of my content is on here. That is not true, J-Flow. You don't have to be brought in. If you want to be a Freemason, it starts with you. You approach the lodge and you express your interest in joining. Now, they will get to know you. You will get to know them. And, eventually they'll give you an application and get you a couple of sponsors, which I guess means kind of being brought in. You need the sponsorship. You need the vote. But the first step, the first stage, you have to approach the lodge and you have to be the one to express your interest in joining. So don't wait for an invitation. Don't wait for somebody to bring you in. You approach the lodge and you express your interest in joining. So let me get that link for you. I hope you'll check me out there. Obviously, the majority of my content is on here, but that doesn't mean I'm not trying to expand outward a little bit. Across a variety of different formats and forms. All right, if you copy and paste that, which I just put in there, or type that in, you should be able to find me on Podbean, and I hope you'll follow me there as well. Dylan, thank you. So, Douglas, again, if you're asking me why you should be a member of the Freemasons, you should be a member of the Freemasons. I mean, ultimately, if it's something that speaks to you. Now, if you're a curious person and an interest and an open-minded person, you'll probably enjoy it a lot more. I promise you, it's not. If you, but I think the better question isn't why you should join; it's why you should approach a Masonic lodge for more information. And ultimately, that's because you have nothing to lose in the sense of it's completely free to walk to the lodge and express your interest in joining or express wanting to learn more about it. Um, it's not going to cost you anything except for time. You could very well get a free meal out of it. And then if you decide it's not for you, then so be it, right? But it's a very personal thing and personal decision. Honestly, J Flow, do it before you're ready. This whole idea of wait till you're ready to do it, you might never feel you're ready. Even though you don't, and it's not the type of thing that you have to be like, you know, I don't know what that means. It's not like you're getting ready to run a marathon. But if you feel nervous, that's okay. Still try it out anyways. No, the Fat Muppet. People who are Masons should wear Masonic rings. I would say we could maybe create some shirts that say something like, I'm a friend of a Freemason, or I'm the father of a Freemason, or I'm the son of a Freemason. Um, well, I mean, at the very least, Jay Flo, you have nothing to lose by going to the lodge and saying, I'm interested in learning more. I mean, if you believe that you have to you have to honor some code and you give up everything to do so, I guess that's what you believe. You're wrong, but so be it. But that doesn't stop you from going and approaching them. Searchlight, no, Freemasonry is not a cult. I've talked about why before. The main reason, it does not try to separate individuals from friends, family, work, religion, or anything else, whereas cults always try to isolate you. When you first approach the lodge, no. When you join, yes, there's an initiation ritual, then there's passing, there's raising, there's an opening and closing ritual in each degree. But J Flow, you do rituals as well, even when it comes down to how you put your socks on in the morning, is a type of ritual. I don't know, Dylan. I mean, like I don't know degrees, but yeah, J Flow. Like I obviously you kind of have to want to bring in new people if you want the order to continue. Like if tomorrow there was never any new Freemasons brought in, then Freemasonry would eventually cease to exist once the last Freemason passed away. But I think we sometimes put the cart before the horse. I don't want new members. I want to be relevant to the community, whether you're a member or not. I think we focus on that, the members will come, more so than anything else, if that makes any sense, right? Like, let's not worry about getting new members. Let's worry about just being relevant parts of the community. And maybe the membership will find us. Thank you, Twisted. I'm doing my best. It's not always easy. We're going to give it another couple minutes. I'm going to be ending this stream. I will be back on, though, tonight at 1 a.m. We're going to be doing, we're going to keep talking about the bear because I love it and I'm grateful to see the bear coming back. There's excited and then there's like beyond excited. I think this show is going to be incredible. I hope that what I said made sense. I'll be doing some discussion and questions about it on YouTube, so you'll find it there. But thank you all so much for being here. As always, please hit like, please hit subscribe. Any thoughts you have on Freemasonry, let me know. We're always getting closer and closer to our 5,000 subs. I'm hoping to get there. Who knows? Maybe by the end of summer, might be possible. We'll see. All right, guys. Thank you all so much for being here. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. I mean, all of us, we don't hide, and I don't think we're that mysterious. Here I am talking about it right now, so how mysterious can it possibly be? All right, Modern Welfare, have a good day also. I'll see you all soon.